Do you ever just have endless visions of your approaching death? One in which you're stuck in the frozen depths of a body of water, slowly having your breath and energy sapped away as you struggle, unable to do anything to save yourself from your inevitable end? No? Well, I guess that is pretty strange, isn't it? Night Whispers. To me, Night Whispers is such a fascinating book in the Warriors series. This book has a total of 5 different POV characters. The 2 previous books in Omen of the Stars had 4 POVs, Jayfeather, Lionblaze, Dovewing, and Ivypool. But, for some unknown reason, they decided to introduce a new one. This character is Flametail. He's also from ShadowClan, so we actually get a POV from another clan. If I'm being honest, I didn't really care too much about Flametail initially. However, he started to really grow on me with each chapter of his. He kinda reminds me of Stormfur's POV in the New Prophecy in a way. I personally didn't care about Stormfur until the last few chapters of his. By the end of the book, I started to actually enjoy his character. The same goes for Flametail, except the most absurd series of events happens. The ending of this book genuinely left me shocked, but we'll get to that. I want to give Flametail some much needed love because he does not have an easy time during his run in Night Whispers. Far from it, actually. So, let's begin with his first appearance. Flametail's POV starts off with him making fun of Lionblaze. Safe to say he's not a fan of Lionblaze. He's busy messing around with Toadfoot, with Flametail just coming back from checking out the new border from after the battle with ThunderClan in the last book. Russet Fur was killed by Lionblaze in that battle, which probably explains Flametail's disdain for him. She's currently being buried, and Flametail's father, Roanclaw, is now the deputy. Shortly after Russet Fur is buried, Shrewfoot approaches Flametail, concerned about her paw. Flametail decides to head to the Medicine Cat Den, bringing Shrewfoot with him to treat her sprain. Upon entering the Medicine Cat Den, Flametail discovers that Little Cloud seems ill. Little Cloud insists that he's just tired, but Flametail is skeptical. After treating Shrewfoot, Flametail resists the urge to get some very much needed rest and decides to check injuries around the camp. However, Blackstar ends up calling a clan meeting. He goes on about saying how this is an opportunity for ShadowClan to learn from its mistakes and grow stronger. Flametail isn't too interested right now. He decides to approach Ivytail, one of the queens. Hey, can you, help me redress those wounds? He meows. Yeah, she meows back. Flametail and Ivytail do a wound redressing montage while the warriors talk about new battle strategies against ThunderClan. And I mean they talk. You almost forget Flametail is the POV. Anyway, after all of that, Blackstar summons both Medicine Cats to his den. Blackstar doesn't waste any time getting to the point. He asks, did StarClan send you to any warning about the battle? Both Toms shake their heads. Flametail, go to the moon pool. Dude, okay. Flametail leaves for the moon pool. Flametail is tired, real tired. He hasn't slept in 2 days. He's at the moon pool though, and that's all that matters. He makes his way down the slope to the moon pool just fine. However, the moment he touches his nose to the water, the entire hollow bursts into flames. The moon pool usually doesn't do this. Anyway, StarClan cats appear in the fires, which gives Flametail a good indicator that this is a vision. Just in case the fire wasn't enough. The StarClan cats reveal to Flametail that there used to be no borders in StarClan, but everything has changed. The dead ShadowClan cats insist ShadowClan must stand alone and no one else can be trusted. I'm sure this is great advice for the battle against the Dark Forest. However, the StarClan cats leave out the part about the Dark Forest, which is certainly a decision. StarClan keeps insisting that no clan can be trusted and each clan must stand alone. From now on, ShadowClan has no allies. Remember this, a time of war is coming and your warrior ancestors will stand alongside you. No one else. Flametail wakes up beside the moon pool. There is obviously no more fire. Oh, I've always wanted to be a POV character, Flametail meows, prepared to share the news with his clan. As Flametail returns back to the ShadowClan camp, it's snowing. He makes sure to report straight to Little Cloud. What happened at the moon pool? You've been gone a long time, Little Cloud asks. Flametail stared at his paws. I fell asleep in the hollow. It's a hard journey to the moon pool, and you were already exhausted. But I should have come straight back after a vision like that. Little Cloud leaned forward. What? This is quite the way to share that StarClan has shared a vision with you. Flametail informs Little Cloud about the vision and how StarClan is divided. This calls for a conference, featuring Blackstar, Flametail, and Little Cloud. Flametail is like, having allies is lame, we should stand on our own. Little Cloud is like, maybe we shouldn't do that. I think, Little Cloud went on, that we should interpret this dream carefully. StarClan has warned us that trouble is coming and we must be ready for it. But why must we destroy friendships that have seen us through the most difficult times? It is too soon to forget the great journey or the role medicine cats have played in helping all the 4 clans to settle here. Blackstar decides to go along with Little Cloud for now, finding his words reasonable. He assures Flametail his message has not been ignored, but it is wiser to be independent while also asking for help when necessary. Flametail just views this as his message getting ignored. He gets increasingly frustrated, unsure why the other cats can't accept his vision from StarClan. Little Cloud is clearly showing his biases for ThunderClan, even though his reasoning is quite sound. The cats of ShadowClan can only rely on themselves. There's a little bit of a jump between chapters here. It's getting even colder and Flametail is out looking for herbs. Too bad the cold has killed all of them. Even worse, Little Cloud is still ill and ShadowClan is weakened by hunger. A white cough outbreak is Flametail's #1 fear right now. Flametail is still out looking for herbs when Tigerheart's hunting patrol comes over. Flametail smells something green on Pinepaw, one of the cats on the patrol. Whatever that means. Flametail asks about it and finds out that Pinepaw fell into a snowdrift. A snowdrift that had brambles beneath the snow. You know what that means? Herbs. He gets the patrol to lead him to the spot where Pinepaw fell. Thanks StarClan. He nipped off as many leaves as he could reach, then shuffled backward out of the snowy burrow. But worry still pricked his pelt. If only it had been catmint or even tansy. Borage was only good for easing fever. It didn't drive out infection, and Little Cloud's lungs were thick with it. What if his sickness turned to green cough? With no catmint, Flametail would be helpless. Satisfied with the amount of borage he was able to gather from the snowdrift, he decides to head back to camp. Upon returning, he is greeted by his mother, Tawny Pelt. He thinks of how nice it is to have such a good relationship with his family. This leads to him thinking about Breeze Pelt? Sometimes at gatherings, he glimpsed Breezepelt eyeing Crowfeather and Nightcloud with undisguised rage. Crowfeather and Nightcloud never noticed. They were usually too busy exchanging harsh words between themselves. Something tells me Flametail isn't the only one to notice this at gatherings, but I digress. This is about Flametail, and not Breezepelt. Flametail heads inside of the medicine cat den. Little Cloud is sorting herbs. He is still sick. Flametail tells Little Cloud to go back to resting. Stupid cough. Little Cloud grumbled as he climbed into the moss. He looked relieved as he sank into its softness. It'll clear up in a day or two. How long has Little Cloud been saying that for? Anyway, as a result of Little Cloud's illness, Flametail could avoid attending the Half Moon Gathering without any issues. He decided to do this by staying in a log. Sure, I guess. However ill Little Cloud is, he's not stupid. He decides to pry on why Flametail hasn't reported any dreams lately. About going to the moon pool. Little Cloud's nest rustled. I've been waiting for a quarter moon for you to tell me the truth. He coughed hard. When you got back, there was no scent of water or stone or the other medicine cats on you, only damp wood and fear. Flametail turned to face his mentor. I'm sorry. He meant it. Flametail is caught by Little Cloud and insists he was only listening to the vision. Little Cloud continues to question the vision, asking Flametail if he understood it properly. They keep going back and forth, making no progress convincing the other. Suddenly, Rowanclaw is standing at the entrance of the medicine cat den. He tells Flametail that Blackstar has requested to see him. Only Flametail. Little Cloud is too ill and Blackstar wants him to rest. Allegedly. As Flametail walks to Blackstar's den, he detects the presence of Russet Fur and Sage Whisker. Sure, I guess. When Flametail arrives, Blackstar immediately begins venting to Flametail. Luckily for Flametail, Blackstar has only been having bad dreams. Otherwise, Flametail would probably be here for a whole moon listening to Blackstar's troubles. Blackstar fixed him with a troubled gaze. Every night I toss and turn, my dreams filled with blood and violence and death. Flametail just stares. What dangers do we face? Blackstar demanded. Will ShadowClan be destroyed? He peered through the entrance, anguish sharpening his mew. When you visited the moon pool after the battle with ThunderClan, you spoke of a war coming. Who threatens us? ThunderClan? WindClan? RiverClan? All of them? How should we face them? What do our ancestors say? Flametail just hit the jackpot. This is the moment Flametail has been waiting for. He thanks StarClan and meows. So you know that vision I've been talking about. Blackstar considers for a moment and then walks away, murmuring motivational quotes to reassure himself. At least this isn't Flametail's problem anymore. He leaves the den and Rowanclaw offers to put together a patrol to collect more herbs. Flametail is thrilled by this. When the patrol reaches another clump of brambles, they discover a groundbreaking tech for collecting herbs in the snow. Hoodfoot groaned as he heaved the stick up with his front paws, balancing on his rear legs and levering the prickly stems from the ground until they were high enough for Flametail and Dawnpelt to squeeze underneath. This will revolutionize the herb collecting meta. After they finish collecting herbs from this bunch of brambles, they go to collect more. However, suddenly, Flametail heard a sharp crack. Dawnpelt stumbled as ice split underneath her paws. As she started to fall, Flametail felt a rush of dread. Plunged into a vision, he found himself floundering in freezing black water. It sucked him down, clutching at his fur, filling his ears and mouth. He gasped for breath, and water flooded his chest. Gagging and coughing, he fought his way up, flailing for the surface. His claws hit ice. It blocked the air, trapping him underwater, forcing him back into the sucking depths. Terror roared in his ears as he scrabbled to break it. He felt his claws rip against the smooth surface, and his lungs screamed. Flametail rushes to save Dawnpelt from her impending doom, leaping at her. She has no idea what's going on. She only stepped in an incredibly shallow puddle after all. Flametail forces himself to push this vision aside. There's more important things to worry about, like Little Cloud and his clanmates. This chapter is an Ivypaw POV. I promise this is relevant to Flametail. Right now, Ivypaw is being held hostage in ShadowClan's camp. This usually doesn't happen. The ShadowClan cats want to exchange Ivypaw for some catmint from ThunderClan. Ivypaw just scared some kits, so she goes to find and apologize to them. In the middle of apologizing, Flametail starts to freak out in the camp. Like, seriously freak out. Darkness, Flametail gasped. Cold, sucking darkness. The Ginger Tom's eyes were black with terror. Flametail's gaze fixed on his leader. There is a great darkness coming, he hissed. I felt it, all around me. It will engulf ShadowClan like an endless wave and suck us down to our doom. Now Ivypaw is also freaked out. And she can't help out her own clan if she's stuck in ShadowClan. Flametail is organizing herbs in the Medicine Cat Den. But don't let that fool you. He's been doing horribly. He's exhausted and he's been struggling with his sleep. He's been having the same dream every night. For the last quarter moon, Flametail hadn't had a moment's sleep undisturbed by the same vision of falling far, far down into the endless darkness while around him cats shrieked and yowled in terror. That can't be a good sign. On the bright side, Little Cloud is finally recovering from his sickness. Flametail decides to give out herbs to cats around the camp, until suddenly, shrieks sounded from the lake. Flametail pricked his ears. Was a cat in trouble? Then he recognized the voices of Red Willow and Pinepaw. They didn't sound in fear for their lives. In fact, they sounded happy. Flametail goes to investigate the sounds coming from the lake and discovers that some ShadowClan cats are playing around on it. This is what you might do in your free time as a warrior, because there's nothing else to do. Olivenose and Dawnpelt approach Flametail, who is still watching from the shore. Dawnpelt caught up to Olivenose. I'm going to fetch Scorchfur and Owlclaw. She trotted past, heading for camp. Go and play, Flametail, she called over her shoulder. You've been looking much too worried lately. Go and have some fun. She disappeared into the brambles. Flametail decides that she's right. Why shouldn't he have some fun for once? He decides to jump down on the ice, joining the other cats. It turns out the other cats are playing a game called Praystone. It's basically just ice hockey with cats. And, for the first time in forever, Flametail is enjoying himself. As he picked up speed, he stopped lifting his paws and let them skate over the surface instead. The wind rippled his fur, and he felt as if he were flying. He let himself glide, then shoved the stone towards Olivenose. And then, crack. The ice breaks and Flametail is plunged into the frozen lake. This is the vision that he has been tormented by for the past quarter moon. It's all coming true. Flametail struggles to find his way back to the surface. He's met with a wall of solid ice. Just like in his vision, cats are frantically calling his name as he struggles. He begins to grow too tired to fight the pull of the water. Flametail felt numbness spread through his body. He let his paws grow still, allowed the water to cradle him. Such quiet, such calm. And then suddenly Jayfeather jumps into the lake. He attempts to save Flametail, however, his efforts are futile as Flametail no longer tries to fight the frozen water. And then Rock appears, unfortunately. Let him go. Flametail heard the voice in his head. It wasn't speaking to him. It was speaking to Jayfeather. It is his time to die, not yours. Let him go. Jayfeather finally lets go of Flametail, and Flametail's vision fades to darkness. This is the last POV we ever get of Flametail. This is not the last chapter of the book, however. This is another Ivypaw POV. Again, I promise this is relevant to Flametail. Ivypaw returns back to the ThunderClan camp and notices that Jayfeather is soaked. Spoiler alert, it's not from any rain. Firestar calls a clan meeting and informs the clan that Flametail fell through the ice on the lake and drowned. He also adds that any cats caught on the ice will be punished severely. For some reason, Foxleap adds, yeah, by death. I genuinely have no idea why he would say that, especially right now. Like, read the room, dude. Anyway, fast forward to Ivypaw going to the Dark Forest. Tigerstar immediately greets her. Ivypaw realizes he was probably waiting for her. They both head deeper into the Dark Forest. Upon reaching the other cats in the Dark Forest, Tigerstar calls a super very important evil Dark Forest cat meeting. This is the big announcement where Tigerstar says that they will soon invade the clan cats. Very soon, and definitely not in another 3 books. Afterwards, Ivypaw is pulled aside by Broken Star for some training. It's some pretty standard stuff, climbing trees and practicing swipes. Everything goes smoothly, until... Come out, Broken Star called. Ivypaw gripped the earth as an orange-colored cat padded out of the thorns. Flametail? As if Flametail hasn't suffered enough already, he was lured into the Dark Forest. Broken Star orders Ivypaw to kill Flametail. Again. Ivypaw is like, but you can't kill a dead cat. Broken Star is like, of course he can. Ivypaw doesn't want to kill Flametail. She tries her best to talk her way out of it until Broken Star mentions Dovepaw. Broken Star threatens to kill Dovepaw if Ivypaw can't sort out her loyalties. Reluctantly, Ivypaw prepares to lunge at Flametail. Tigerheart comes out of nowhere, preventing Flametail from being harmed. This is one of the few good things that Tigerheart actually does in his life. And with that, Night Whispers comes to an end. Now I get to talk about why I think Flametail in Night Whispers is so ridiculous. So first, we introduce a new POV in the middle of an arc, like, okay, sure, it's also a ShadowClan POV, okay, sure, why not, but then, you kill him off in the same book? What? I'm not sure what exactly this accomplishes. And it's not even that, he has such a miserable time in his POV. You see the aftermath of the battle from Oots 2, the cats seem to be recovering alright, boosting their own morale, but then we find out Little Cloud is sick. Flametail is almost on his own for handling these cats in camp. Luckily, there are cats in the camp who are willing to help, like Ivytail, but still, that's a lot of responsibility for a new medicine cat, and he is constantly shown to be exhausted. And as if that couldn't get worse, he gets 2 different visions during his 5 chapters. In the first vision, dead ShadowClan cats tell him to trust no one, you know, when the Dark Forest is rising in power. And that's not good advice. Especially when you don't tell him about the Dark Forest, he just assumes this has to do with the living. So not only does this add to his responsibility, this also gives him a sense of paranoia. He has no idea when and what ShadowClan should be prepared for. Additionally, his vision is just kinda dismissed by Little Cloud and Blackstar. Little Cloud is honestly in the right here, but still, imagine being given this grand vision and being told what to do, and then you're just kinda ignored. And then the second vision, his own death is continuously being replayed in his dreams. But he doesn't know that. That could mean anything. That vision could just be about the danger that is approaching, not his literal death. Because of this, he struggles to sleep and is constantly on edge. Like, we're just tormenting this young medicine cat for no reason. In the one time he puts his guard down, the one time he actually decides to enjoy himself, he dies. Terribly. And the worst part about it is that Dawnpelt, his sister, encouraged him to play on the ice. I bet she feels a massive sense of responsibility for his death. Which is probably why she jumps to blaming Jayfeather. Unfortunately, Jayfeather is the only cat that actually goes into the water trying to save him. And Jayfeather himself nearly dies trying to save Flametail. It's honestly just such a mess. Like, wow, I can't believe that actually happened. And it gets worse! Flametail is lured to the Dark Forest to be killed by Ivypaw. He already just died horribly, and he's about to be killed again. Luckily, Tigerheart prevents Ivypaw from killing him, but still, why Flametail? It's genuinely such an absurd POV. Absurd is honestly the best word to describe his whole run in Night Whispers, because it's certainly far from normal. There is nothing normal about his POV. Thank you so much for watching. I definitely plan on doing longer videos like this, but they do take a lot of time to put together. If you have anything you'd like to see me cover, let me know in a comment down below. Goodbye forever.